Group and take a seat. Truman, Brennan, where's your small group? So are you just missing a lot of people? Well, I was going to say, there's enough extra. Okay, they're starting to fill in now. I'm just like, wait a second. I saw 3 of you over here and 4 over there. I'm like, you got plenty of space. Find your small group. Take a seat, please. Find your small group. Take a seat, please. Mr. Mickelson.
Okay. I'm not as worried about that senior group, but that other junior group, I definitely want an adult male sitting in that group. Okay. And then just keep looking around. So as teachers get in, I need them to fill in by minutes. Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go. Find your seat. Get in with your small group. Take a seat. All right. I'm going to kind of do a little quick introduction, but here's kind of the thing. Some of the information that you're getting, a lot of the information that you're going to hear today is very serious and very deep. I'm going to speak to guys for a second. Guys, there's going to be probably a strong inkling that a number of you are going to want to be sitting by your friends and let's just laugh and let's just make a joke out of stuff, or just like, oh, whatever, or I'm going to blow this off. I'm challenging you to say, no, don't do that. I would ask that you actually really pay attention in what's going on to the presentation. For you, but also for others. So the presentation that we're bringing today this has been something that has been more on my heart as it's been continuing to come, as I've been praying and hearing and just seeing different things that have happened. I will guarantee you that some of what is going to be talked about is happening right now in our school. I will separate you guys straight up in front of everybody. I don't care. I guarantee you that some of what you're going to hear is happening in our school with some of you right now, because I've been made aware. So what we're going to hear isn't, oh, it's funny, it's silly, it's whatever else, it's something that's somewhere else. What you're going to hear, I know, is affecting some of you in this room, and I don't know to what degree. So when I say this and when I have us and say, hey, we're taking the time, we're going to have this, because this is my friend Russ Tuttle. Russ is going to tell you a little bit about his life. I'm going to let him introduce himself. But he speaks to hundreds of thousands of students all over the United States. He talks about all sorts of different things, and my challenge to you is for you to really pay attention, to really listen, but hopefully to ask yourself, God, what are you trying to tell me? We say that in chapel, and I say it a lot, and you hear me say it, because hopefully you're going to open your mind and get to that same place. God, what are you trying to tell me? So right now, please just close your eyes, bow your head. Let me just open this up in prayer and just, God, I come before you and I thank you for how great you are, that you are over everything and know everything. God, all the schemes of Satan and all the things that he tries to hide in our lives and our personal lives, that you know it all, you've seen it all, and I thank you that you are a God in control that knows. And I pray for open hearts and minds today. I pray for every young man and young woman in this room, that you would help them be open to listen to what Russ has to say. Holy Spirit, you would use and speak through Russ to touch their hearts and their minds today, to really challenge and open and see how we can stop what Satan has planned for evil. I thank you for this group. I thank you for what their hearts are going to be and how they're going to just look and open and figure out how to give you glory and work through no matter what. Thank you for this day. In your name we pray. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, Russ Tuttle, would you please give it up? Welcome him to the stage and listen to him.
All right. Check, mic check. Here we go. Hey, so have you guys ever noticed how some things don't make sense? So, like, if this is your friend and you can knock on his door, and he greets you at the door like this, oh, hey, I wonder who's at the door. I mean, half the door is glass. All he's got to do is come look at the door, see that you're his friend, and go, hey, what's going on? But, oh, no, I'm going to look through a peephole. I wonder who's at the door. You're going to be like, dude, you're an idiot. What are you doing? Half the door is glass. Like, I can see into your living room. I can see the reflection of the house. There's like all this big window view, and you're chosen to take one tiny little narrow perspective. This is the image I want you to kind of keep in your mind for the next hour as we talk about some things that don't make sense. So speaking of things that don't make sense, namaste, my bahut khush hu ki main aapke saath aaye hain. What? Nobody? I'll say it again. Namaste, main bahut khush hu ki main aapke saath aaye hain. You got no idea? No idea? So when I was so here's the thing. So I was born into the home of pastors on a Sunday morning. I had to wait an entire week before I went to church for the next time and been there the rest of my life. We went to the country of India. So what language I was speaking there was called Hindi. And we went there when I was 4 years old, and I spent most of my years 4 years old till I graduated senior high school. So I spent my high school years in the country of India. So where's my ninth graders? Represent ninth grade. Whoop. All right. You can make noise. I'm not scared of noise. It's okay. 10th grade. Wow. There's a confident bunch right there. The 10th graders. We're over here. 11th grade. Okay. All right. 12th grade. Yeah, so 12th graders, you guys have this disease called senioritis going on pretty bad right now. Okay. Didn't know. Wow. So I graduated high school, 12th grade. I did have senioritis. I wanted out. I was done. And I was going to be an architect. And then God called me to ministry. And so I became a pastor for years. And I was a youth pastor for 8 years. A whole bunch of other stuff in ministry. And in 2019 started this ministry because I became aware of some things that were happening to kids. But speaking of things that don't make sense, when I went back to my roots of growing up in India, I came across this thing called slavery. You want to talk about things that don't make sense? So to buy a really cheap carpet in the Western world, a lot of times that's going to be handmade out of a sweatshop. I don't know if you guys have studied sweatshops in your history classes at all, but these are kids being forced to make a carpet. They worked in these places 7 days a week. They had no social life. There's no sports for them. There's no extracurricular activities. There's no school for them. This is not a photoshopped image of a little boy in tremendous pain, just so we can buy cheap stuff in the Western world. So slavery, they tell us it ended 150 years ago-ish, but slavery today, there's over 40 million people caught in slavery today. $150 billion year industry. 99 billion of the 150 is from sex trade. So if I told you, I said, okay, if we go across the freeway over the Quick Trip over there, kind of back behind Highway Patrol Troop A, that there's kids over there and they're being caught in slavery, but we've got a plan I'm going to talk to you guys about today, because I'm going to talk to you guys about slavery today. And we're going to load up the SCA buses, and we're going to over there, and we're going to end this. Most of you in the room be like, this is wrong, we need to end this. You'd be like, no way, we need to stop this. I hope you'll maintain that same attitude with what I am going to talk about, because we're not going to talk about this kind of labor trafficking. We are going to talk about a form of trafficking we call domestic minor sex trafficking, which is a type of slavery. It is happening in this community, students under the age of 18. I want to unpack what that looks like for you guys. So here's the reality. So see, God in his infinite wisdom, when he created us, he created every one of you with your own unique personality. He created you with certain likes and dislikes that just kind of come to you naturally. Some of you love math. Some of you like science. Some of you like English. Some of you like just lunch. Okay, so we're kind of all in between, but God's given us these things. But what I want you to understand is this. You know, the Bible talks about how he's called us to be more than conquerors. I think you're familiar with that verse. In reality, what that verse really is we are super conquerors. I want you guys to understand that with this farm door image, that I'm going to help you guys move beyond this really closed vision through a people to big window perspective of how we can be super conquerors in our lives and help end a thing called domestic minor sex trafficking. Now, I'd been all the way around the world for the first time by the time I was 5 years old as a missionary kid, traveled a lot. I've met people, literally have friends to this day from so many different countries, so many backgrounds. And here's something I can tell you, every single one of them have a desire to be cared for and loved. It's like one of the most basic human natures. That's why God is love. And I hope all of you in the room have your own personal relationship with Jesus, because just because I was born into the home of pastors and became a missionary kid didn't mean I was a Christian. Just because you go to a Christian school, maybe even go to church, doesn't make you a Christian. Any more than me sitting in my garage making car sounds and honking a horn makes me a car. Okay, there's got to be a transformational process that for us that only happens through the death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And so he's put these innate desires within us. And so we've got all these things that we like and we dislike. But most of you in the room, 9th to 12th grade, I don't know if you necessarily feel this way now, but I'm pretty sure most of you do, because you probably feel like at some point in your life, no one understands me and no one really relates to me, especially the adults. I mean, come on, let's be honest. The adults just don't get it. Like there's this generational thing going on. They don't understand what I'm dealing with. They just don't connect with me. They're so like back then and I'm like so today, and nothing's really working. We're not connecting. I want to give you guys a little insight into why this. God actually created it to work that way. Did you know that? God actually created it to work that way. No one understands me. So here's how that works. So if you read the Bible talks about how we are knitted together in our mom's womb. You know, if you take a microscope and you look deep into the human skin, it looks like knitting. Well, when God designed your brain, he designed your brain to take about 219,000 hours to develop. So your brain is not fully developed until you're around 25 years old. Okay, so we got everybody here from 9th grade to 12th grade. So you're all kind of at this semi-stage of where you're a long way from 219,000 hours. Your brain didn't develop. Oh, yeah, well, dude, I know what I'm doing. I get it. But I want to give you big window perspective in a particular area. I'm calling you guys to be super conquerors in an area of life where you are going to actually help us end a crime called domestic minor sex trafficking. Now, it doesn't make sense right now, but we're going to unpack what that looks like. So here's what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to make a scientific statement to your friends, okay? So we're all on the same page to understand the development of the brain. So I want you to usher up as much compassion as you can in your eyes and look to your neighbor on your left, your right. And I want you to make this scientific statement to them. Tell them this. You're just a half brain. Tell them. You're just a half brain. Okay? Now, we're in a room full of half brains, so it's all good. It's not a put down. I'm not making fun. This is how the Bible, how God's actually created to work, but this gives you insight into how and why sometimes you feel like adults don't communicate with you, why you're not connecting. Here's where we're headed. When I feel like no one in my life understands me, especially the stinking adults in my life, here's too often where we go. And I'm going to unpack for you how our screen life directly ties into a form of slavery that we call domestic minor sex trafficking. A friend of mine, when she was 12 years old, she engaged in her screen life and connected with the guy who was 14 years old. At least that's what he told her. And he told her everything that any 12-year-old girl would ever want to hear, how smart she is, how funny she is. And when she told her how dumb her parents were, he's like, yeah, my parents are dumb too, drives me crazy. And they have this amazing bond. I know what I'm doing. I'm 12 years old. He's 14. Okay, the big window perspective and the reality is that he was a 21-year-old drug dealer. There's this thing called pornography. And pornography has a grip on a lot of American students that's literally choking the life out of them, and they don't realize it. I know what I'm doing. It'll be fine. Someday I'll get married. Big window perspective is that this 14-year-old boy introduced my 12-year-old friend as a young female to pornography. He began sharing images. And so when he convinced her that their relationship could only continue if she shared hot pics with him, she was ready. So she shared the hot pics. When he said, we've got to meet in person, she was ready. And what happened was she felt like there was so much pressure from adults in her life. She got to the point as a 12-year-old girl was like, I can't stand it anymore. I'm going to go where I feel safe and where I can be anybody I want to be with my fake account. Because we all know everybody's got their account and then they got their fake accounts. And so she engaged in that activity and she connected with a guy who was actually 21-year-old drug dealer. So here's a little video that kind of unpacks that story.
I wanted you to stay after because I wanted to talk to you.
How did you misspell that word?
I wish you could be more like your sister.
I've gone from an A to a D in this class.
Ask your mother.
Go ask your father.
You're better than this.
You're not wearing that out of this house.
I know what you mean. My parents don't understand me either.
Do you have any idea how many calories are in that
You
cupcake?
really think you can play that sport? You're not athletic.
You look like a slob when you dress like that.
I need you to focus more in my class, like you used to.
I can see your belly.
You really need to give that up. You sound horrible.
Have you been talking to that guy you met online?
You are way too young to date.
He seems super nice.
What's wrong?
How old is he?
Is everything okay at home?
Not right now.
What kind of picture did you send him?
So she sent the picture, and here's what happened, guys. So we have permission. We never re-exploit kids who've been re-exploited. She wants us to tell her story. This is exactly the content that we captured that is not time-stamped, but tells the story how she connected with this guy. So he contacts her and says, great pic, so hot, we gotta meet. Please. Hello, still there? She finally says, sorry, lots on my mind. He says, what's up? You can talk to me. She says, parents, school, no one understands me. You can tell me anything, I'll listen. She likes that. And then notice what he says. He says, come on, let's meet. I don't know, I hardly know you. You plus me 24/7, perfect. Pick you up after school tomorrow? I guess I'm nervous. Don't be. I'll take care of you, promise. You are sweet. Tomorrow then? Tomorrow. She's 12, thinks she's talking to a 14-year-old boy, he's a 21-year-old drug dealer.
When's the last time you did see her?
Yesterday morning, before she left for school.
About 7:30. Look, it's been over 24 hours. Where is she? Have you heard anything?
This is an image that we pulled off of a known trafficking site.
What's that? It's not my little girl.
I'm afraid that it is, sir. This is a site where men go looking for young girls.
She's 12. She's never even had a boyfriend. What kind of animal would go looking for my little girl?
So here's the problem, you guys. There are people out there that want to hurt kids. I wish this wasn't my life. I wish that God hadn't called me a lot of days to deliver this kind of a message. But there is a very evil out there. And I want you to understand something from a spiritual, biblical perspective. God has called every one of you in this room to a higher standard of holiness and purity and righteousness while we are fighting the enemy of our souls who comes to do some things. He comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And so I want to give you guys a reality check from a spiritual perspective to help you understand in our daily lives, because listen, our screen life is a part of life. Do you realize in America that during COVID, that people online who want to hurt kids, the online enticement of minors under the age of 18 in the United States of America has increased 97.5%. There are people looking for students online to be convinced that the adults don't know what they're talking about. I know what I'm doing. You can't change my mind. Big window perspective, as all the statistics say, we are in deep trouble in America. And so that's why I love to appeal to the hero in every one of you that's sitting in this room, because I know that this is not a thing that adults are going to fix. This is going to be you guys. Domestic minor sex trafficking as a crime is either going to do one of two things based on how we respond in this generation. It's either going to get way worse than it's ever been, or we're going to get a handle on it and it's going to go down. And it's going to be largely in part to schools like SCA that have a Christ-centered perspective. They go, you know what? We are called to a different standard. We are going to do things different. And here's the challenge. This is the place where some of us are most vulnerable, when we feel lonely. You know why? Because what happens is when I feel lonely and I feel like I can't talk to anybody, I can't talk to my parents about this, I can't talk to anybody at school, I don't have this trusted adult in my life, so guess what I do? I'm going to go online and talk about how lonely I feel. Guess what? You guys are the most connected generation ever. There's never been a generation like yours, more connected, and yet you're one of the loneliest. That's not God's plan. That's not God's plan. God's got a better plan. And so within that, we feel isolated. So I'm lonely now. I feel isolated. Sometimes the loneliest, most isolated places we can be in is in a room full of people, because we're just not connected like we feel like we want to be. And so then the next thing is you know what the enemy does? He's got a master plan. I want you to know something. Satan hates you. He literally hates you. He wants to destroy you. And so there's this really cool, fun way that we can kind of be like a frog in a kettle of water that just slowly the heat gets turned up and just kind of, this isn't really that big of a deal. I mean, come on. Everybody's engaging in these kind of activities. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, come on. Reality is, in the crime of domestic minor sex trafficking, 100% of the students that we work with right in the Kansas City area and in Missouri and Kansas, 100% of the kids who've been sold for sexual purposes against their will, it all started online, 100%. So when God calls us to a higher standard, we go, okay, we got to do something about this. Because see, what the enemy wants to do is take kids to such a low place through loneliness and isolation and depression that they want to end their lives. I got down to the school assembly and a girl walked up to me and she said, "Do you like my sweatshirt?" 7th grade girl. "I like your sweatshirt a lot. It's really cool." You guys, with no expression on her face, she said this. She says, "My best friend in the world gave this to me, but she's dead. She died by suicide last week." So I'm at the school on a Tuesday morning. Her friend had died by suicide the week before. They had the funeral on Saturday. Monday, a package arrives in the mail to this girl from her dead friend. In it is the sweatshirt and a letter. And the letter says, "You've been my best friend forever. I know you've always wanted this sweatshirt, so I wanted to buy you the sweatshirt before I take my own life. And here's how I'm going to do it and why." And now my new friend in this auditorium is standing in front of me after I've got done with the school assembly, and she's hugging the arms of this new hoodie from her friend, and she's chewing on the string. Kind of got on the edge of her mouth and talking to me, just kind of gnawing on this thing. Tears flowing down her face. Kind of the same old story. Met a boy online, thought he was my age, sent me pornography. Pornography started to do this rewiring in her brain. Got to the point where he said, "Hey, let's meet in person." Found out he was an adult male in his late 50s. He violently assaulted her. He recorded it, pictures, video, posted her online. A lot like what happened to my 12-year-old friend that I showed you the video. There's a pattern here. The pattern is, I need you guys to understand, is that I'm not against technology. I mean, technology is pretty cool. They tell me my iPhone 10 has enough technology to launch rocket ships to the moon and back. I mean, that's crazy. Or, hey, look at me. I had pizza for lunch. Who wants to know? Honestly, nobody. But it feels pretty important to me right now. And if I get a lot of likes and shares about that, I feel pretty good about myself. If nobody likes it or said something, I'm actually a little sad. She's standing in front of me hugging her sweatshirt. And she says, "My best friend wrote in this letter how she died and why. Because of the things that were happening to her, this guy was selling her online, and she felt like there was no one she could talk to." Students, I want you to hear me. When you feel lonely, isolated, depressed, you're wondering about things in life, I'm begging you to find trusted adults in your life to talk to. This is why your school's brought me in. So I don't know any of your stories. Maybe you feel like you have a trusted adult at home you can talk to. Maybe you don't. I guarantee you have trusted adults in this school that will be willing to help you. Online is not the place to talk about these things. My friend is crying. She's hugging her sweatshirt, gnawing on the string. And Her countenance changed. And she went from sadness to fear. She said, I need help. My friend wrote this in the letter. She said, I hope you don't mind, but I've given your name to the people online as another girl who's probably willing to take her clothes off and send naked pictures too. See, this girl had fallen into such a deep, dark level of cyberbullying, what this guy was doing. He literally took over her accounts. He took over all of her social media. He was posting as though he was her. This little girl in 7th grade had nobody that she felt like she could talk to. You know what that is? The enemy of our souls wants to come in and bring shame and fear and embarrassment. And I want you guys to understand that nothing you guys go through online has caught Jesus by surprise. Do you know when Jesus died on the cross? When the sin that killed Jesus on the cross, that he died for, there's nothing that surprises him. It breaks his heart and it brings him sadness, but there is grace and there is mercy. And so for some of you in the room are sitting here going, man, I've made some mistakes online already. We're not even that deep in the presentation yet. I'm already sitting here feeling a little uncomfortable. I want you to know there's no shame. There's no shame. And I want you to understand what the Bible says, that God's not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of sound mind. The power and the love is the spiritual part. The sound mind is where we go, I'm going to get educated about stuff. That's what I'm doing with you guys today. And then I'm going to ask Jesus to help us. I want you guys to understand something. This is not just an issue for girls. I got done with the school assembly. A 16-year-old kid walked up to me at the end of the assembly. He had tears in his eyes. He's about 6'2", 185 pounds. Good athlete. Tears in his eyes. He walked up and said, thank you for telling us the truth today in this assembly. He said, I want you to know that pornography got a grip on my life. So pornography is not artistic. Pornography is a diabolical plan of the enemy of our souls to ruin lives that includes images and videos and content specifically designed for a reaction in the brain and the body. And when we engage in these activities, it literally begins to change the brain. And the 16-year-old boy walks up to me and says, I accidentally stumbled into pornography when I was in the 2nd grade. He's now a 16-year-old boy, completely addicted. He said, when I was 15, he said, I got an image from an adult female with no clothes on. And she said, I showed you mine, show me yours. He said, I was trained. I didn't even think about it. I took the hot pick and sent it back. She said, our relationship continues. She said, let's meet in person. I was like, dude, time out. Can I just tell you, because here's the thing, you guys. So the pattern is that there are creepy men sending boys, especially through gaming, pictures of females. And the boys are thinking like, wow. Because that's how God's designed it to work. That's why in purity and righteousness and holiness, God says, stay away from that till you're married. The enemy wants to destroy that in your life starting at this age so he can ruin your life. And so the boy has that natural reaction, and so he sent more pictures, and now he's like, I'm in big trouble. So what happened is guys are getting these pictures, and they think they're meeting a female, whether through the gaming system or apps or something on social media, and guys are showing up to meet these girls, and there's men waiting. So I'm thinking that's what happened to the 16-year-old boy. He's like, no, that's not what happened. It actually was a 21-year-old female. And they met twice. He said the third time she had me meet, he said she sent me to a party. He says she wasn't there. There were other adults in the house waiting for me. I was the intended party. In the crime of slavery we call domestic minor sex trafficking, you guys, the enemy of our souls is doing such a diabolical job with pornography, destroying people's lives. They convinced a 21-year-old female to entice a young 15-year-old boy to be sold within this crime called domestic minor sex trafficking. So I'm here to appeal to the hero in you guys to say we can do better. We have to do better. We must do better. I'm begging you to please do better. So in the country of India, I was out there, and I was really hot and thirsty one day, and I was out of water, and they have a cola product in India called a Thumbs Up. It's sweeter than a Coke, and it's more fizzy. It's not quite as fizzy or carbonated as a cola product. So, have any of you ever chugged a cola product really fast? Okay, chug something really fast. Okay. None of you have ever chugged a cola product. Okay, I have. Here's what happened. I'm a wimp, so when I drink something carbonated really fast, I cry. There's nothing I can do about it. My eyes water. I can't control it. My throat gets sore, and my nose feels like I got foam shooting out of it. Okay, so here I am. I bought 2 bottles of Thumbs Up, and I'm chugging the first one, and I'm down on this thing, and all of a sudden I'm like, I can't breathe. There's a dead cockroach in my mouth. So somehow in the bottling process, there's a dead cockroach in this bottle of Thumbs Up. I chug the thing so bad, it is lodged deep in my throat. So the cool thing about Indian cockroaches is that they have a really hard shell on the back, kind of like a rock. And the way I chug this thing through in the back, it is lodged deep in my throat, and it's stuck. It's stuck there like cement. I am choking, gagging, my eyes are watering, my nose is foaming, and I'm trying to get. And so the other cool thing about Indian cockroaches is the underbelly is really soft and squishy, because that's where they go potty. And my tongue keeps touching this, inadvertently touching this, because I'm trying to get this dead cockroach in my mouth. So I'm reaching my mouth, so I finally get this cockroach out of my mouth. Okay, so on the count of 3, I want you to say under your mask, with just a little bit of attitude, cola cockroach. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so it's pretty gross. Okay, so if you had a mask in your cockroach right now, you had a cockroach in your mask in your cockroach, nobody would know it. Everybody knew I had a cockroach in my mouth. I am on the street in New Delhi, India, 25 million people. I'm like dry heaving, gagging. I'm like making a scene. I look like me in India, right? I kind of stand out just a little bit, and I'm like, this whole thing. So here's what I want you guys to remember. I don't care what you remember from today. I want you to remember cola cockroach. Because the cola cockroach represents this. I was at Freddy's ordering a meal several weeks ago, and Katie was behind the counter with her mask on, and I was wearing my mask in the restaurant, and Katie looks at me, and she goes, "Oh, you're the cockroach guy." And I'm like, "Well, yeah." She goes, "I heard you in my school assembly 2 weeks ago." I'm like, "That's awesome." So here we are at the counter talking about cockroaches, right? People are trying to order their hamburgers and their French fries and their custards and stuff, and we're talking about cockroaches. And she's like totally getting this. The manager finally comes over and is like, "Listen, you got to take their order. Quit talking about cockroaches." And it was really, really funny. But I said before what does it mean? And here's what it means. A little bit of cola is okay in your life, in moderation. Please get this under control in your life. Moderation is okay. Too much is bad. And please be aware of the cockroach factor. The cockroach factor includes this. When I feel lonely, isolated, depressed, I've got to be aware that there are people out there that want to bring harm to students. We have to be careful. We have to be aware. And it's this easy to fall into their traps.
Meeting a teen girl online is actually pretty easy. You can go into any chat room and just start talking. Most of the girls are usually so insecure and desperate for
attention from older guys is totally flattering. They're so much more mature and understanding than the guys my age.
Age actually works to my advantage. They like to brag to their friends that they're dating an older guy, so I just play along and pretend I'm really
interested in the same things I am. You can talk forever and really get to know someone without worrying about looks or whatever. That's the best thing about
chatting seems unthreatening to them, so they lower their guard. After a while, I start talking about how we're soulmates and how lucky we are to have found each other.
Other people don't understand. I know what I'm doing. If you really care about each other, there's nothing wrong with me.
Meeting them is the goal. Once I get them out of their house, well, that's when things get really interesting.
So I'm not against you guys being online. I'm just saying that we've got to do things differently. I want to take you away from this little narrow perspective, because this is how it's always been, and give you big window perspective. Okay, so how many of you say on social media that you have more than like maybe 4 social media accounts? If you have more than 4? You guys are not nearly as honest as the junior hires. You're all scared like something's going to happen to you. You have more than 4? 3? Okay, now we're ratting on our friend. She's got 19. We all know. Okay. So here's the thing. I'm about to give you guys a mind-blowing truth about stuff that happens on social media. Okay, you ready for mind-blowing truth? This is your mind-blowing truth. This is going to radically change your life forever. You will never, ever, 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 ever be the same after you hear this. Are you ready? It's going to blow your mind. Okay, ready? If you don't know them, you don't know them. Okay, so I had a girl come up to me recently, and she walked up, and she said, and this is a school about 800 students. She literally could have walked out of the auditorium. I would have never known she even existed, but she decided she needed to come up to me, and she walks up to me and goes, I just want you to know I am super safe online. Okay, that wasn't exactly what she did, but that was her attitude. I'm like, do you want a medal? And she just looked at me. She gave me the dull stare of a dairy cow because she's like, what? I guess, seriously, do you want a medal? And it so threw her off guard. And I said, well, why don't you tell me how safe you actually are? And so she began unpacking how she's taking her clothes off, sending these pictures, this amazing guy. And I'm just sitting there going, okay, I heard this story 1,000 times. And the dude lived in Morocco. Morocco's in Africa. But she's super safe online. Okay, what it was a cry for help. But thankfully, she'd gone beyond this to big window perspective. Do you guys realize that the average age that kids are starting to engage in sexting is around the 5th and 6th grade now? So I hear the air gets sucked out of the room. How many of you have younger siblings? Okay, can I just tell you, whatever you're doing online, your little is going to take that to the next level. I was talking to a 2nd grade girl recently who had an adult dating app where she had 17 adult men she's talking to. Now, it sounds kind of funny, but you know where she learned it from? Her sister in 10th grade. So I want to appeal to you. God's called you to a higher standard of righteousness and holiness and purity, and guess what? The eyes of the Lord wander. He knows every thought before we've thought it. He knows every action. The Bible says nothing in all creation is hidden from his sight. So when we think we know we're getting away with stuff online and behind our screens that nobody knows about, I promise you God sees it. I don't want that to scare you, but I want it to put a level of understanding in your life that, you know what, this is actually serious business. And here's what I want you guys to understand. In a lot of high schools that I go into, I have found that the long-term high school relationships are like 3 weeks. Right? And the pressure to send hot pics to each other in the dating relationship to prove our relationship or to get someone's attention, you guys, this grieves God's heart. But you know what the problem is? In teenage culture today, this is becoming normalized. I want you to understand, as Christian students, this is wrong. It's a little 3-letter word called sin. It's not just I'm doing some stuff online. This is sin. Beyond that, I want you to understand something. If you're, I know high school guys who there's an app out there where you actually you're in a competition and you get points. So the more people you can share naked pictures of, there's a point system, and so you can collect stuff online. But if you actually get someone to actually take the clothes off that your group knows online, you're like famous. Now stop and think about that. What kind of a diabolical evil is that? Number one, you need to understand something. Anytime, even those of you your age, okay, you're sharing naked pictures, posting stuff, I want you to understand something. By federal law, you're a child pornographer. That's not my idea. By federal law. Beyond that, not only is that an illegal activity, but you need to understand something. People want to hire you guys someday. You know how you get hired today? You know what the first thing employers do? They look at your social media. Before they look at your grades and your references and your resume. So I just want to throw that out there and go, maybe some of you in the room need to change some behaviors of what things you're doing online. Because here's the reality of how sexting works, you guys, in America today. Jesse was 18 years old and had the boyfriend who well, if you really love me, if you really care about me, if you really want a future with me, then you'll take your clothes off and send me a naked picture. What? Okay, you see how depraved that sounds? See how depraved it is? But yet it's such a common activity? So I want you to understand a righteousness and a holiness perspective on this goes, this should be literally disgusting to us. And yet you know what it is most often? No big deal. Jessie ended up taking her own life because after they broke up, her boyfriend shared all the pictures. And this is the reality, you guys, that I want you to understand. If we want respect in our lives, we have to get it, but not until we give it. And that's in person and online. I want you to watch the progression of this video.
Hi, Zach. Here's another video from my special guy. I can't believe we haven't talked all day. I wish you went to my school or lived closer so we could finally meet.
Take it up. Dinner in an hour. Don't spend too long on the phone.
Okay.
So we've never actually met, but I wish we could.
I know you've been waiting for this for a while, so I wanted to give you something special.
So he's kind of the Justin Bieber wannabe dude. That's his picture. That's not who he really is. That's who she thinks she's talking to. So now it's not so much fun because now he's bothering her. Now he says, I want another show, get on cam. I told you can't, homework. So now this is not the time to shut the door on a trusted adult in your life because now we're going, I'm a half brain, but I can handle this. Because now he says, if you don't get on cam, I'm going to post the video and I'm going to tag you. So now she's made a mistake and now she doesn't know what to do. Now it's going to go bad from worse. This is not the time to shut the door on adults in your life. You need trusted adults to talk to.
Who are you? Why are you doing this?
Well, because you're mine now. I own you. This is a form of slavery. Did you make me the new video? I won't ask again. Yes. So notice all the file folders, because there's never only just one. Oh, I promise you're the only one. Just share me the picture. I promise I won't share anybody else. Nobody else is going to see it. Oh, well, okay. He really likes me. She really likes me. Okay. Yeah, I guess. Okay. Big window perspective, you guys. There are people out there who want to harm kids, and they are counting on you to be gullible and naive online, like my little friend Rosa. 13 years old. It's the same old broken story, guys. Met a guy online, told me everything I wanted to hear, sent him pictures, met him in person, did horrible things to me, no adult to talk to, ended her life in January. Such a tragedy. I want to appeal to the superhero conqueror in you guys. Because you guys, I understand this. You spend a lot of time on these devices. I want you to understand the power that you have to help keep yourself and others safer if you will actually engage in a very simple rhythm of safety where you don't communicate with strangers online, because it's the kindergarten truth. If you don't know them, you don't know them. I had a guy, I had a sophomore boy come up to me not that long ago, and he wanted me to know that he had over 29,000 friends online. 29,000. Don't meet someone in person that you only met online. I want to just say this very boldly. If you're in the room and you're asking people to take their clothes off and send pictures, or if you are taking clothes off and sending pictures, I'm going to ask you to get help today. This activity has to stop, not only for your sake, but for the sake of others engaged in this process. This is my dog, Bandit. Kind of heavy stuff today, right? This is a heavy topic. This is my dog, Bandit. So he and I went on a run today. He's a miniature Australian Shepherd, so he's only supposed to be about 30 pounds. And so a few years ago, I had to take him to the vet because he was up to 35 pounds. And I was like, I want my dog to live a long time, so I got to keep him at 30 pounds. And he's my buddy. And so I go to the vet, and the vet's like, Bandit's got a metabolism problem. I'm like, that sounds really expensive. What does that actually mean? And he goes, Bandit needs a special diet. I'm like, what do you mean he needs a special diet? He eats dog poop. He eats his own poop. He eats rabbit poop. What are you talking about special diet? Are you crazy? What are you talking about? And the guy, well, there's this fancy stuff and it's in French, and he's like, it's going to cost you $85 a bag. $85 a bag. I'm a dog owner, man. You're not going to get the cheap Costco stuff. I'm buying $85 a dog. You kidding me? No, not a chance. No, I'm a dog owner. No. So guess what I do? It actually now costs me $90 a bag. Because I love my dog. Like, you guys have pets? You love your dogs, right? We love our dogs. Okay, so here's the thing. I've been all the way around the world multiple times. I've never met anybody who wasn't important. Every one of you in the room, you are uniquely created by God with your own personality, with your own set of likes. Some of you like math. Some of you like crazy, whatever. Some of you snort when you laugh, okay? It's all good. God created you that way. But here's what I want you to understand. Your value, hear me, hear me, hear me. Your value is not from the number of likes and shares that you get. It's not in the number of internet and online friends you have. It's not how high you get in the gaming system. That is not where your value is found. Your value is found in the person of Jesus Christ, who loved you enough to die on the cross for you and give his life for you. And when you fully surrender to him, does that mean all the issues of loneliness and isolation and depression magically disappear? Absolutely not. But he gives you tools. He gives you insight. And the enemy wants to bombard every one of you in this room with pressure. And I need you to understand, in the crime of domestic minor sex trafficking, there are people that want to hurt kids, and I'm appealing to the hero in you. Technology is amazing. You guys, yesterday I was clear out in Sabetha, Kansas. I spoke at a church on a Sunday morning, and then I spoke for 2 hours for a community thing. I did a leadership training. I had no clue where I was doing to find this church in Sabetha, Kansas. This little thing took me right there. Amazing. But here's the thing. I want you guys to understand, pornography is rampant. And I desperately need you guys to understand the power that pornography has in the hands of the enemy of our souls to destroy our lives. He wants to create an illusion with it. He wants us to think that it's okay, that people are just a sport. This is why we rate each other as hot or not. So our values only dependent on how attractive a certain industry says we're supposed to be. You guys, please don't fall for that lie. Don't fall for that lie. Don't live that lie. Because I want you to understand something. The way that pornography works on your brain is the same way any other drug works. I was talking to a student in a school. He walked up to me and he said, thanks for... He said, I've never actually heard anybody talk about pornography like you did before. He said, I have a severe addiction. He said, can you please help me? And he began to talk. He said he was in a science class and he was surfing porn during science class on his school-issued MacBook. This is a public school. And then he said, I went to my English class and the teacher wanted us to open a Word document and we were typing some stuff in the Word document. He said, in my mind, I was seeing the images that I'd been looking at before. You see, God has created your brain to be so incredibly powerful. And those of you in the room who've maybe stumbled onto pornography by accident, can I tell you something? The average age that students in America today typically accidentally stumble into pornography or somebody shows it to them is around the age of 8. So pretty good odds that everyone in this room has encountered something like this in their life. And you know how difficult it can be to get that image out of your mind. This is why the precious shed blood of Jesus is the most critical, important tool for you to apply in your life for healing around this. But then you have to take some steps and you have to make some decisions on your own. And you know what happens? You need to understand the brain, because guess what? Nobody can shame you out of a porn addiction. You need actual help. You need to understand how the brain works. And so here's where the enemy wants to keep you as students. He wants to make you feel like you are worthless and you're unlovable and you're despicable and you're broken and it's worthless. And guess what? That is not God's plan for you. I would double dog, triple dog dare the high school at SCA to take a minimum of a 2-week fast from all things electronic not related to school. Your gaming, your online life, your social media, all of it. Take a 2-week fast. And tell me you're not sleeping better. Tell me you're not getting along with your friends better. Tell me you're not having a better relationship with your parents. I double, triple dog dare you to take that test. My friend was 12. Thought he was 14. She was such a good softball player, she had college scouts watching her play at the age of 10. This is the girl the video was made about. I'll meet you after school. She still went to the same church, same softball team, same school, straight A student after she met the guy, but he did horrible things to her and started selling her. Guess what? She still lived at home while she was being sold till she was 14 and a half years old. Now, I never re-exploit kids who've been exploited. She's asked me to tell her story. It's the only reason I'm telling her story. This is not my story to tell. But she wants it told because she cannot tell it. At the age of 14 and a half, you guys, they started running my friend from Des Moines to Dallas. She officially became a runaway of the state. Her parents were desperate beyond anything. I cannot tell you how or why. I'm not allowed to tell you this part of the story. But for 3 months, she got away from the people that were controlling her. And so this is the picture of my beautiful friend on her 16th birthday at home. But behind that beautiful smile, those gorgeous eyes, is a drug and alcohol addiction that was forced on her at the age of 13. This is what my friend said. One bad decision could change your life forever, and evil comes nice. I can't tell you how or why it happened, but 2 weeks after this picture was taken, they got her back under their control. And she willingly went with them. The darkness that she was in was horrific. My friend was rescued in a sting operation in Lee Summit 3 weeks before her 18th birthday. But this next picture is really hard to look at. So I'm just warning you. She wants you to see it, but it's hard to look at. It's her 21st birthday. See all the harm that had been done to her. This is the real impact and result of pornography. Because the people that were buying my friend from the time she was 12 until 3 weeks before 18th birthday, she said the vast majority of them that bought me brought pornography and said, do that. Because the addiction was so strong in their life. I know what I'm doing. I can control this addiction. It's not a big deal. Guys, I'm telling you, hear me. The big window perspective is we've got to get help. And this is the age to get the help. She got out of the hospital, and you see around her waist 10 pounds of batteries. She can never come disconnected from those because the 10 pounds of batteries operate a little machine in the front where she wears a fanny pack. That little white cord literally physically goes into her side, up into her chest. She has a mechanical heart. It's the only thing that keeps her alive. And she has a message for you guys. I talked to her yesterday because they had to unplug her mechanical heart last week. And the moment they unplugged it, her legs went numb, and she had blood clotting all through her legs. They rushed her into surgery to have to keep from amputating her legs. She survived the surgery. But they've released her to go home without the mechanical heart keeping her alive. She has 15% heart function. She has a little IV. It's a heart IV, trying to pump enough fluids and medicine in her body to keep her alive. I'm hoping to go visit her tomorrow. Hey, girl, I'm going to be with a bunch of students again tomorrow. Oh, I wish I could be there. I need to know. You want me to keep telling your story? Yeah. Why? If it touches one kid, Russ, if it just touches one kid, then all the mistakes I've made in my life will be worth it. What do you want me to tell them? Same thing I've been telling for years, Russ. Here's a message from my friend. Number one, what you do online is not a joke. It's not a joke. It's not narrow perspective, big window perspective, pornography, how we behave on social media, all the things we're doing. It's not a joke. Second thing she says is this. She says, Russ, please tell students, don't do this alone. Don't let students feel like they're alone. You guys, you're not alone in this. Mistakes you may have made online, you're not alone in this. You're not alone. That's why your school's brought me to have a very, very difficult conversation with you guys. You're not alone. There's people here that want to help you. My friend wants you to get help if you need it. And if you don't, my appeal is this: be strong enough in your relationship with the Lord and in your resolve to be able to help your friends who are in trouble. Okay, reach into your backpack real quick. Grab a pen or pencil. We have just a few minutes left, and there's a survey I'm going to ask you guys to fill out. Anonymous, do not write your name on this. Listen to me carefully. Do not write your name. It's completely anonymous. The survey is going to be handed out to you by the adults. It's a little half sheet of paper. All I need you to do is in the upper right-hand corner, and on top of the Be Alert logo, is put your grade number. So whatever grade number represents your grade, write your grade on the top right-hand of that paper. Do not write your name on it. Do not share your answers with your neighbor. This is personal, just between you. I am going to beg you to please put the honest answer. This survey does no good to our organization helping students if we don't know what the honest answer is. So you can't get in trouble. We're not trying to identify who anybody is. There's no shame in this. We just need the real answer. So please give us the real answer. Fill it out really quickly. And then as soon as you're done, just turn it over. And when it's passed by you for your friends, don't flip it over and see what their answer is, because none of your business. Okay? So full disclosure, we hand out thousands and thousands of these surveys to get good data and good results. And so when we get audited on our results, I have to prove that it's actually students who have filled these out, not me sitting at my dining room table filling them out, trying to manipulate results. So I'm going to take pictures of you guys while you're filling them out. You don't need to do anything other. I just have to document that it was actually students filling this out, okay? So nothing creepy here, just letting you know why we're doing this, right? So honest answers, get those filled out. You guys have been so awesome to talk to. It has been so heavy. I felt a real heaviness, honestly, spiritually, when you guys started walking in the room. And I wish I could have been funnier. I wish I didn't have to be so serious. But I'm hoping that the Holy Spirit's speaking to you through me, some of you in the room, to really have a grasp and understanding of the reality and the seriousness of what we're dealing with. So I apologize that it was so heavy.
Russ, 1 second. Again, students, in the top right-hand corner, put your grade. So either just 9, 10, 11, or 12 only. You're not sharing your paper. It's nobody else's. It's only you. But again, top right-hand corner, 9, 10, 11, or 12 in the top right hand. That's it. That's the only thing that you should put on other than answer no's. Put them over when you're done. Flip it over. Pass them to a center aisle, and an adult will come pick them up.
You guys, I don't get to talk this way very often in schools, but I love being able to come to a Christ-centered school when I can talk about Jesus. I'm going to tell you guys something that very few people have heard me talk about, and I want to explain this to you. I was recently in a very public school. I'm not allowed to talk about Jesus or God at any level, and you guys, hopefully in the room, if you have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, you're going to understand what I'm about to tell you. As the juniors and seniors walked into the auditorium, I was standing there watching them walk in, just kind of like I was standing here observing you guys come in today. I do it all the time. And you guys, all of a sudden, it felt like somebody had come up behind me and put like a 500-pound backpack on my shoulder. My knees buckled. And I stood there. I literally felt like for a minute I was going to fall down. There was no backpack on me. You understand what I'm saying? It was one of the most difficult assemblies I've experienced. When I got done with that assembly, and several days later got the results of the surveys that you guys just filled out, I found this, that 99% of the students were heavily engaged in pornography. 84% had met a complete stranger in person they first met online and were active in sending naked pictures of themselves. So the spiritual undertone of all this is so real. This is why I want you guys to understand that you have such an advantage. You're not better, but you have such an advantage to tie into your relationship with Jesus Christ and then let those relationships with Jesus tie into other relationships through this amazing school and other relationships that you have, hopefully, through your church and stuff, okay? All right, so here's what we're going to do. Every group of students does this, and so it looks like kind of a lot of gals are sitting on this side, 2 guys are spat in here, so we're gonna move you around a little bit, but in a moment, here's what we're going to do. And we just did it with the junior hires. And every assembly this way, so in a moment, you're going to stand, and I'm going to record you guys, and you're going to yell this, "Not in my life." Okay, everything we've been talking about, not me. I'm not going to fall for this. I'm going to be better. I'm going to help my friend. Not in my life. Not in my school. I'm going to watch out for my friends. Okay, we're not going to do it alone. My friends appealed. Tell them they're not alone. So not in my life, not in my school, not in my future. Then you're going to yell "cola cockroach." You're going to make amazing vomit sounds. It's going to be really fun. And it's going to look something like this. So that was a group of 7th and 8th graders, and so I just want you to know there are 4 kids in that scene right there who were being harmed by adults in the content we're talking about. And so I had a little girl walk up to me literally at the end of that assembly, and she walked up and handed her phone over and said, "There's a cockroach in my life, I need help." And the very next day, this guy was arrested in jail on $1.3 million bond. This is the power of, listen to me, the truth. I've told you the truth today. I get to go into public schools and in other secular settings and tell them the truth, but I don't get to talk about the truth. Does it make sense? So, how many of you have youngers, littles, elementary age? Okay, so remember I told you whatever you do online, like they're going to take that and take it to the next level. So we're going to come back here to your school on April 21st, and I'm doing an assembly for them. It is not the assembly you guys just experienced. Okay, I promise you, it's totally different. But here's a group of 1st, 2nd, 3rd graders doing what you guys are about to do. And then they fall down. I have yet to have an elementary school where some kids don't fall down. I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me. I have literally gone throughout the state of Missouri and Kansas, and when we do young elementary school presentations, somebody always falls down. I have no clue why. Maybe they fall down at home when they puke. I don't get it. Here's a group of 7th and 8th graders with a story behind it. So, guys, I got done with this school, and 3 boys in 7th grade ended up on federal-level charges for child pornography. Remember how I told you sharing images, even at your age, of each other is a federal crime called child porn? 3 7th grade got, and here's what happened. The boys got a message from Sarah online, and Sarah wanted revenge pictures of one of the girls in the school. And so they coerced pictures out of this girl, and this little 7th grade girl had nobody to talk to. She was desperate, she was scared, didn't understand, and it went to such a difficult level that she did some of the most horrific things you could ever imagine. The problem is this: Sarah was not Sarah. Sarah was actually the adult male Boy Scout troop leader of the 3 7th grade boys. He's now in federal prison, but here's the sad tragedy. One of the 3 7th grade boys couldn't take it and died by suicide. You guys hear me? This is so serious. But I appeal to the hero in you guys to go, we can do better. And so I would love for SCA High School to have this level of enthusiasm. A high school I was at a little while ago. Front guy in the front row, I was afraid he was going to give himself a hernia. Like this guy right there, like he was like so, like he was serious. So now imagine we take that level of intensity at SCA and we go, number one, I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, and that's going to impact the way I live my life in person and what I do online. And if there's some changes I need to make, then I'm going to make those changes, and I'm going to get some help to make those changes. So here's what we're going to do. It is your turn to do the cola cockroach thing. So I need all the guys on this side. So I don't know how it's going to work, and hopefully Joe's not going to get mad at me. But all the guys, I need all the guys on this side really quick, all the ladies over on this side, okay? And we're going to do a guys against the girls thing. And ladies, you have the opportunity. Do you want to go first? Do you want the guys to go first? Guys go first. All right, guys, do this really quick, okay? All right, guys.